Good day, everyone. Welcome to the next in our series of chats with local East Anglian business owners. Today, I'm talking to Tom Laws from Gunfire Limited. Good afternoon, Tom. How are you?
Yeah, hi Martin. I'm good. Thanks. Yourself?
I'm absolutely fantastic. Fortunately, my offices have got some air conditioning, so I managed to deal with the amazing weather being a Scotsman.
Oh, I know that. I know that feeling. Yeah, my temperature control is terrible. So, yeah, I'm thankful for some AC as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Makes such a difference. I'm absolutely intrigued to find out what Gunfire is all about. So tell me a bit about your business.
Yeah, of course. So, Gunfire Limited, so it's part of the Gunite Group. So that was established. Well, Gunite Group's been around for nearly 30 years now, and Gunfire came as a bit of a bolt-on department in 2000. So Gunfire alone is 21 years old, and we are a passive fire protection company. So the easiest way to explain that is obviously what everyone sees in the newspaper at the moment is obviously the Grenfell tragedy. Essentially what we do is, part of our speciality is we help, we basically make sure that that doesn't happen. So it's the spread of fire from one flat to the next is pretty much the sort of business that we're in. So yeah, established in 2000 was quite a small department of the Gunite Group for a lot of that time. So I actually took over the control of the department back in 2014. Turnover was down at about between $1 million and 1.5 million a year generally. So since 2014, we've seen continued growth up to that point. Last year, we turned over just shy of £8 million. So yeah, in a 6-year period, we've grown quite significantly. So yeah, like I said, it's all family run business. I actually am, so Jerry Otter is the group MD of Gunite Group. His son works here. He's the managing director of the Gunite side. I run the Gunfire side. And I'm also, for my sins, married to his daughter as well. So I worked for Jerry before I married his daughter, which yeah, it didn't go down too well to start off with. But yeah, we've been married nearly 10 years now. So yeah, hopefully they've got over
it. Fantastic, and thank you for qualifying that, Tom. Brilliant. So I mean, passive fire protection, that's quite an important thing these days, isn't it?
Oh, hugely. It's completely compliance based, basically. So it's not only doing the work, it's how we check the work, it's how we record the work, and it's all about our processes and systems. That's really important to make sure that we actually can deliver a project that looks right and is going to, I'm not a huge fan of the saying, but does what it says it's going to do. And it's yeah, so it's all compliance. It's led by building control, fire inspectors, London Fire Brigade, and everyone like that. So it's one of those. It was one of those sort of industries before Grenfell that everyone knew it was around, but our speciality tended to get farmed out between other subcontractors who didn't specialise in it. So, for example, the plumbing contractor would get part of the fire stopping work. So so an easy way to say that is if his soil and vent pipe was running through a floor slab, it was then his responsibility to fire stop around that SVP to make sure that the fire or smoke couldn't spread. So that's why that's been the biggest difference in the industry since 2017 is that now it's the awareness of fire protection, both active and passive, it's in the news daily. So we've always known it's been important, but unfortunately, the way industries grow is it does tend to have by things going wrong. And obviously Grenfell was a horrible tragedy. It was not a very nice thing to go through, and it's still going through the news every day. And it's raised awareness quite dramatically.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, it's so essentially what you were saying before is it potentially wasn't necessarily all joined up, whereas now it is all joined up from start.
Yeah. Exactly that. Yeah, exactly that. So, I mean, to try and give you kind of a context in terms of value of the sort of building contracts that we would win, you know, sort of pre 2015, it was around, the average price could have been around between sort of 10 and £50,000 would be the average size of our projects, whereas now they're between 50,000 up to 10 million quid. So it's really raised massive awareness, and it's a lot of people just don't maintain buildings very well. So there's now the money from councils and housing associations is all getting put into to actually now starting to maintain their fire systems.
Yeah, so you mentioned councils and housing associations. Obviously, they're potential. Well, I imagine they're target markets. What other target markets are there? For that, fire.
So I mean, sector-wise, we will work. I mean, if there's a building, there's fire protection needed, basically. So we're not fussy on sectors. In terms of our main target market is, like I said, housing associations. So we're looking at multiple occupancy buildings, basically. So typically we would want to be looking at anything from sort of 4 or 5 stories upwards in terms of height. So it's refurbishment. It's going back into buildings that have they've been around. They've seen a number of changes in building regulations, and they're trying to keep up with it. The other main target market for us is all the new developments. So we do a lot around Canary Wharf. We do a lot of all the new tower blocks going up. So typically, I think the largest one we've done so far is 75 stories in Canary Wharf, that's the largest. Well, I think they'll finish, it'd be the largest residential block in Europe. And then I believe about 2 weeks later, it gets overtaken by a different building somewhere else. So it's very, very much housing associations and London boroughs, whoever's providing multiple occupancy housing.
Yeah, I mean, would hotels fall within that as well? Any sort of new build hotels, would they fall within that sort of sector?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Hotels, hospitals. Absolutely, any building, like I said, any building that is built needs to have. There's always an element of what we do within that building. So yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, obviously you mentioned Grenfell and the challenges around that disaster really.
Yeah.
I mean, the last year has been pretty challenging for most industries out there. So what sort of changes have you seen in your industry?
We were quite lucky, to be honest, in construction, because obviously in March last year, when the government announced lockdown, it was, if you can't work from home, then you can still go to work. So we saw this massive kind of reaction. Everyone locked down straight away for, I think it was April and May last year, I think it was. So our turnover dropped quite significantly, but then we did. After this time last year, really, we saw everything start to reopen in construction. We saw the government, announce that, you can go to, in construction, you can't build anything sitting at home. Yeah. You just can't do that. So, go to work, go to site, and obviously a lot of pressure was put on companies like us to make sure we could do that safely. Yeah. So that was quite a heavy impact. And it was trying to then, get the guys on site back to work, try and get people in the office working, efficiently and effectively from home. So that took quite a lot of resource to get over. That was the biggest impact that we've seen. And then since then, the wider aspect has been, we now see sort of imports coming into the country from where our raw materials come from. Those prices are starting to go through the roof, and obviously the boat was stuck in the canal. That also heavily impacted what we're doing as well. So yeah, it's kind of been a combination of things. But again, unlike a lot of industries who are still locked down now, we're massively lucky. I've worked all the way through. We had, we furloughed probably 70-75% of our staff, but we brought them back in quite quickly. And so, I think that as an industry, I think, construction, pretty much can be quite thankful that that we've been allowed to come back. And also the nice thing with fire safety is we were given key worker status quite early on. So going into people's apartments was something that did help us. We obviously had the letter from the government and our clients to say, we're doing important fire safety upgrades and improvements. So you need to let these guys work, basically.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that is very fortunate. Absolutely. Is there any sort of changes that have happened that you plan to keep going forward? The changes you've made through lockdown that you think are actually worth keeping within the business?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a few. We've myself and Matt, who's the other director. We've focused on our systems quite heavily in the last sort of year. It's one thing that did impact us is you kind of take it for granted when you see people in the office every day. Everyone's in the thick of things. Everyone's on the hamster wheel, if you like, and running at 100 miles an hour. You don't necessarily, you sort of take for granted how well your processes and systems are, because it's easy to have a quick conversation and go from there. So, but I mean, one thing that we are looking to keep is to keep the sort of hybrid working system. We're quite happy that people who've had to work from home, have done so really, really well in our business. We've been lucky with the people that work for us, very committed to the business, because we're family run. A lot, not only is it the owners who are family, but also we probably have 3 or 4 different families where we've got sisters who work for us, or I think on my side of it, my head estimator, his 2 sons work underneath him. So yeah, I've got a sort of a family of estimators who are there. So yeah, we're not just family and owners. It's the businesses. Yeah, there's 5 Morrises, and all sorts. So so I think with the people that we've got, we're very trusting, and that's one thing we'll keep is allowing our people to have the flexibility to work from home, 2 or 3 days a week. And manage their time.
Have you found that has had a positive impact on their productivity?
Yeah, I think for the right people, it has worked out, because I think they've also, there's a few guys who commute 45 minutes into the office. They quite quickly realise that if they can work effectively from home, they're going to save themselves an hour and a half, each day. Yeah, and a lot of our guys have got young families, so it gives them more time for there. So it's not. I mean, being honest, if it hadn't have worked out, we'd have got people back in the office straight away. But the way that people have worked is that the hybrid system will work well. I mean, actually, since it started, I mean, I think we've lost a handful of staff, and we've gained new staff, and yeah, it's worked quite well bringing them back into the business. And again, they've done quite well, fit into the processes and systems really well.
Yeah, and you mentioned a couple of lads, a couple of employees do the 45-minute commute. I mean, that also not only time will they get back, but it's going to save them quite a bit of money in fuel as well, in terms of their own personal expense, which is great. Yeah.
Well, I think our second biggest cost of the business is our car expenses.
Yeah.
With the nature of what we do, our work is, we're based in St Ives here, but a lot of our projects are in London, Manchester, and places like that. So we do a lot of travelling. So it's so giving people that flexibility to save themselves 2 hours a day and sitting in traffic has helped. And the feedback that we've got from the people that work for us as well is they want to come back in the office. Yeah. But they also want to have the flexibility, and as long as people can prove that it can still work effectively, then we don't see any issues with that.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and I'm sure you've got some employee KPIs or KPIs in place, so you can measure the performance of all your team.
Yeah. Well, we this day and age, all our computer systems are fully automated, so we know what people are doing. Pretty much, if we want to look, we can see it. So yeah, and there's always those people in the business. The guys who you can leave and they'll get on with it, and the guys who need a bit more of a helping hand and a bit more of a nudge. So yeah.
So I mean, obviously the economy is now reopening as such. You know, it could by the 21st, it could be fully reopened, and you know, things back to some semblance of normality. How have you and your business prepared for that reopening? Have you done anything differently, or have you just carried on business as usual?
Well, I'll tell you one thing we have done is we've booked in a big company social for everyone on the 3rd of July.
Nice move.
Yeah, because we I mean we do have we sort of have 2 or 3 a year anyway, company wide, but it's been a struggle not seeing people just socially, really, and you know, we've kept in contact with people when they're working from home. But yeah, so that's the first thing we're doing. 3rd of July, we've got a big company social because the business has changed quite a bit in the last 18 months. And so the aim of that is to basically get everyone into a big open room with a drink in their hand and, you know, explain the changes in the business. We've had people leave, we've had people come in different areas of the business. We've set up a new department within the company as well. So it's kind of we didn't want to just send an email around to people saying, oh, by the way, this is what we're doing. We wanted to get it across and, you know, have a good time and, you know, let people actually meet each other who are from different departments in the business. So, so that's the first thing. And then, I mean, really, like I said, construction, we were quite lucky. You know, we kind of bounced back quite quickly when it did reopen. So we've made a few amendments to the business. We've got a few new sort of apps that are out there for sort of project management. So it sort of saves the time the guys which we looked at in lockdown. You know, so that saves the time. I mean, obviously, with what we do with Gunfire and health and safety and compliance, it's, you know, it's a lot really heavy paperwork based. So we've purchased new apps. So that'll be the main change, is rolling that out company wide once it's up to speed. But no, I mean, it's pretty much business as usual. We're setting ourselves high targets. The group overall has sort of been a very similar size for, you know, a good sort of 10 years, and me and Matt are sort of coming in and, you know, wanting to improve that turnover level and giving people some strong targets. So but yeah, we're you know, sort of, that's a long way for me to say business as usual and crack on, I guess.
Oh, good. I mean, I love that idea of getting everybody together on a social to talk about what has happened. And you're right. You know, new people in the room with other new people start building the right relationships, which will help business and, you know, the ease of business. Yeah. What opportunities do you think lie out there for businesses now that things are coming back into sort of, you know, fully operational within the UK? What opportunities do you think are out there? So,
I mean, I think I can obviously talk about construction, but you know, I mentioned that sort of app-based thing that we've taken on. I think certain construction is a little bit in the stone age of the information and how the information is sort of, you know, passed on from company to company and things like that. So, you know, the main thing that's in construction that I see that's got to move forward is we've got to get on board with the tech world. We've really, you know, I say we do bits and bobs of it, but you know, we barely scratch the surface. You know, you see, I mean, I'm a bit of a geek and, you know, research new builds that are going up in Dubai and the Far East, and, you know, they're the biggest buildings in the world and things like that. And, you know, the way that they're doing the technology out there for construction is fantastic, because they want to invest and they realise that, you know, they're only going to build this thing once. As soon as it's built and everything's closed up and it's looking lovely and, you know, walls are built and everything's hidden, you know, it's expensive to go and look at that again. But if you've got the right technology, you know, it helps. You know, we now do 360. When we finished our work, we'll do a 360 camera tour of the work that we've done, because everything we do is hidden. So a ceiling will go back in and you won't see our fire stopping anymore. So we do 360 walkthroughs. So I think that's the main thing that in construction I see that's got to really improve. You know, robots are never going to build buildings, I don't think, but you know, the way that what's being built gets recorded and how that information is stored, there's vast improvements that need to be made in the construction industry.
No, yeah, that's interesting. I think technology, you know, personally, I think this the whole pandemic lockdowns taught everybody that technology is so important and needs to be embraced no matter what the industry.
You're absolutely
spot on there. So look, Oh, gee, what are you personally now looking forward to that we're returning back to normal?
Well, I went to I think it's just meet. I mean, from a personal, okay, so not work, no work, okay, right. Personally, you know what? I climbed the 3 peaks at the weekend as a challenge. Did it for mental health awareness, and the one thing, I'm ex-rugby player, so we did it with 2 or 3 others, and to celebrate finishing, we booked a few drinks in Chester, and but I think that the main thing for me is just making sure people can actually socialise again. It's still not the same, we still had to book tables in 3 or 4 different places. You're still sitting on your own, and we were there to enjoy each other's company a little bit, but the whole atmosphere needs to, it's just going out and having a beer, not having to book a table, not having to feel like you've got to turn up at a certain time and leave 2 hours later because someone else has booked your table. So I think really just getting back to a bit more normality socially, is sort of the biggest change for me. And then again, I touched on, I'm an ex-rugby player, so again, actually being able to go out and watch a live bit of sport. It was one thing. It was one thing I thought, well, we probably won't miss it because TV coverage is fantastic these days, but it's just not the same. It's not the same not having the fans in the stadium. So, yeah.
It's not, but we do have the Lions tour to look forward to.
Exactly. Yeah. So
counting down the days and hours.
When's the first one? 21st, isn't it? Is it 21st? Yeah. So, no, I mean, fingers crossed that'll go well.
Yeah, well, I'm rather excited about this Lions squad. I think it can do some good stuff out there.
Yeah.
Is there something you'd like to say, just to finish off, is there something you'd like to say or share with with your customers or prospective customers, Tom?
You know what? I'm not very good at selling ourselves, to be honest with you. I never have been. I like to think that we provide a good, friendly service. What you get. We're all, we're a company built from a sport background. Not just rugby, but everything under the sun. We've got people who have done it to good standards, to good high standards as well. So I like to think, what if we say something, it happens. Basically, what we do is no different from any other fire stopping firm. We're all doing the same thing, but it's about the journey. And I like, we're very good at talking to our clients, being open, honest with our clients, and not just saying yes to everything, but giving honest answers. So, I think the only thing is, if you keep using us, and we'll provide you with honest service that is very good and very well recorded.
Well, I think you did a fairly good job there of selling yourself there, Tom.
Thank you.
You did a lot better job than you give yourself credit for.
Yeah.
Listen, it's been absolutely fantastic talking to you today, and really interesting finding out about Gunfire and everything you do. And but it sounds like you've got a great team and a great business there, Tom.
Yeah, no, fun. Yeah, and that's what it's about, isn't it? Like I said, it's about the team. It's about the people that work for you, and if they know what they're doing and they're well organised and they know the processes which are in place and they're all sticking to them, then it makes my life really, really easy, which is what I'm aiming for.
and I'll second that. So, what a great place to finish our interview and our chat today. So, look, thank you very much for your time. It's been absolutely brilliant, and I look forward to seeing you again soon.
Excellent. Thanks, Martin.